You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And for back to the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. Biden crime bill.
Democrats right now, especially African Americans, have really looked back on the 1994 crime bill not very fondly. Hillary Clinton herself has come out against it, even though her husband signed it into law. Well, the author of that crime bill was Joe Biden.
The Biden crime bill.
The Biden crime bill.
Biden's 1994 crime bill, while implementing sweeping gun control, also helped fuel mass incarceration with financial incentives to keep people behind bars.
The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
The Biden crime bill is before us. Calls for the death penalty for 51 offenses. A wag in the newspaper recently wrote that something to the effect that Biden has made it a death penalty offense for everything but jaywalking.
The Biden crime bill. Biden crime bill.
The Biden-Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing, I hope that we will have ended once and for all this notion that is a hangover from the 60s, that somehow Democrats are weak on crime and Democratic presidents are weak on crime and Republicans are tough on crime. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill. I like the idea they keep in jail longer. I'm the guy that wrote the bill requiring federal judges to keep people in jail 100% of the time for which they're sentenced. And a notable...
You guys voted in numbers for the guy who created the prison industrial complex. He wrote it. He's the one that said crack cocaine gets you this much time over powder cocaine, which my kids might do. So I'm going to make a law that's going to super punish your people with no mercy at all and send y'all to jail.
You know, on his platform, Black Star Line, I know I'm usually doing the Black Health Report, so it feels good to be here. You know,
likewise, bro.
All right, bro. I know back in the day, this was Poppin' Pat. I mean, I used to roll with him, brother named Rob and Kool-Aid, and they used to go around town and I never saw him lose a battle when it came to pop locket. So now we're in a different space, but this is just good. But it's just crazy thing going on right now with this whole, this whole thing. So how about we could start off with us dealing with the election. I think that's what that was. A lot of people are talking about that today.
Well,
What's your position, or what's a lot of the information that's coming out right now? I'm hearing Trump's people are saying that they cheated the election, that there was some ballot issue going on. First of all, where was there a ballot situation? Where were there cheating? Where was the cheating going on that he's talking about? Is there any claim to this?
Went on in all the swing states that are controlled by Democrats. The Democrats always get an overwhelming amount of votes from the black community that they are the overseers of. So when you look at a map every year of an election year, the whole thing is written and it got little pockets of blue, and those pockets of blue, they always put the Democrats ahead in certain states, like California, like New York, like certain states they dominate.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 2016 election, Hillary was supposed to win because the election machines are rigged. She gets so many votes. I don't know how they're rigged, but they were rigged for her to win when they added the black vote in. The problem last time was that people came out in such overwhelming numbers for Trump that the machine couldn't overcome the loss. That's why it took her so long to concede, because they had that thing thoroughly rigged, so they thought. So they know how to correct it this time. There was something called Event 201, which is where they practiced for this very thing that we're going through right now called the COVID-19 crisis. And Event 201 that caused us to have to vote by mail. And the mail-in voting was their ace in the hole for winning this time. So no matter how many votes Trump got, if he broke their algorithm, they can always come in and add more votes like they did, like Giuliani pointed out, when a truck backed in with baskets and big trash cans full of votes that were all for Biden. And if you just look at the math on how Trump was up 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania, and then you wake up the next morning and he's down in a city that he told them just in the prior debate that he's going to end their industry, he's going to take away all their jobs.
Who's he? Who are you talking about?
Biden.
Okay.
He's going to take all this from them, and they allegedly helped him overcome the Trump landslide.
So what things did he talk about he was going to take from them?
Fracking. He was going to end the oil industry. He's going to phase it out. Pennsylvania and Detroit builds cars.
Exactly.
And, these kind of areas depend on industry. They can get paid off us.
Well, I'm just looking at it. I'm not on either side, Democrat, Republican. I consider myself an independent. But I do, when I'm looking at this situation, especially when I saw that what Juliana presented, which was actually it actually showed some numbers showing you that there was more people, there was more mail-in votes than than what was sent out.
Yeah.
So how can you have more sent in than you sent out? And it wasn't just a small amount. It was actually about 1.2 million. When you look at the math, 1.1 something million. So that's going to be pretty interesting on how if that turns into anything.
Well, that fact alone That's one of those where you take it to the judge and the judge looks at you and say, are you really bringing me in a case for something that's obvious like this? And they say there is no evidence of voter fraud. But then the cruel thing about it is the media keeps telling you there's absolutely no proof of voter fraud. I heard Voting Joe Frazier voted in Philadelphia. And, you know, Smoking Joe Frazier voted, and he passed away. He passed away like 6 years ago.
When we look at over 100, they said about over 150 million people voted. There's only 331 million people here in the United States. So we're talking about half of that voted, when half is not of voting age. It doesn't look like. So can you talk a little bit on that? What's up with the fact that in this election we had over 150 million people voted, like somewhere near half of the United States population? How do you feel that? Don't you feel that that's kind of...
It's a little excessive.
Yeah,
huh?
it seems...
Well, yeah. What happened, people? This is what happened. Trump had a landslide victory. He had a landslide victory. This is the only way this could happen, people. Don't let them tell you that there was absolutely no evidence of voter fraud or election fraud. They're telling you you're stupid and you're ignorant. And if you believe this and you go for this, I don't want to offend nobody, but think about this for 1 minute. We'll do the numbers for you, the last numbers for you. But I'm going to do them for you just radically like Thabiti Umoja just did for you guys. If there's 330 million people, you look it up, Google it, United States population, 330 million people. Allegedly, Biden got 80 million votes. That's astronomical right there. But he got more than anybody in history. This guy couldn't even fill up a laundry room now. See, he couldn't fill up a movie theater. Yet Trump rallies, you see people for miles. I mean, not miles. He ain't Jesus. You see people, just nothing but a sea of red hat and people. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look up Trump rally, whatever. Trump rally, whatever. Trump rally, whatever. And then he's standing out there in Arizona. It's got to be 100 degrees out there. I'm like, please put a tarp over my president. Yeah, I know y'all got a easy up y'all could put over his head or something and, cool him off. He's got a tie on and he's standing up there talking for 30, 40 minutes in the sun to people campaigning. He is working for your vote. And people came out and people appreciate that. And people love Donald Trump, okay? I do too. I'm guilty. I love Donald Trump, man. Okay, yeah, they gonna want to kill me, huh? Yeah, I ain't black. I don't care. I would rather be on Donald Trump's side than vote for the creator of the prison industrial complex.
Well, that's a debate. I mean, right now, a lot of families have been torn apart over that whole debate about what you just said. Some people in this particular election, it was very difficult. Very difficult for, I think, a lot of us. It was difficult for me, too, because when you look at, I've voted all my life pretty much Democrat, and whoever was my parents, they all voted Democrat, and whatever they voted, however they voted was the way that I particularly voted. But then one of the things that I realized is that it's when I evaluated, and being honest, when I evaluated Trump and I evaluated Biden and Kamala Harris, this was a very, very difficult situation. And some people got mad with me because I'm a Sagittarius. And one thing about a Sagittarius is that do not ask a Sagittarius a question if you do not want the correct answer. Because I'm going to tell you the real deal. We're going to deal with the real deal. Now, when it came to Trump, I'm going to be straight. I didn't like the racist comments that he would make in reference to shithole countries and those things those things. He said some very crude things in relationships to the Mexican population. Those things I had offense to. So I had a certain imagery of him that anything that comes from his mouth, I don't want to hear it. Then when they put Biden and Kamala in front of me, I said, well, they're in the Democratic Party, so obviously I'm supposed to vote for them. But then when I asked the question, out of both parties, which one of them actually have created policies policies. Not called you a bad word or called you a bad name, but who's created policies that have affected black people. And I came to the conclusion that Biden and Kamala Harris together have done crucial things to black folks. As we know, the crime bill of 1994, he was the author of it. Biden was. He brags about that. We know the 100-to-1 ratio with cocaine, crack cocaine to powder. He's the one that wrote that in. We know that. We know that Kamala Harris, for one, when she was head attorney out in the Bay Area, had parents arrested because their children were not going to school. And and then giving them fines like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and then these parents couldn't pay. Then they come and get them, arrest them. One lady was in jail for 6 months. How is that helping a child if his mom is in jail for 6 months? And then we know out here in the LA area or in the Los Angeles in the West, out here in the West, when Mitrice Richardson came up missing in Malibu. And
side note, did you see that movie Surviving the Game with Ice-T?
I haven't seen that. No, that's old school.
The Mitrice Richardson murder and cover-up reminds me of Surviving the Game. Because what it seems like is they let her out in the middle of look up this story. And maybe he can put a link to it or something. But look up the story. Yvette Cornell had a very good interview with her father. And it's very important because this was blatant. You don't turn somebody loose at middle of the night in a place that has wild animals without their car or without, escort.
Can we talk about the story about what happened? Because a lot of people don't know about the Mitrice Richardson story. It was just happening really here on the West Coast, and you know how the media is. They're not going to talk about it.
They're not going to tell you about it.
So she was at a restaurant. I'm going to go into total detail.
You go for it. You may know.
So she was at a restaurant. She ordered this food, wasn't able to pay for it. She was able to call her grandmother. Grandmother said that can they just take the credit card over the phone? They refused to do that. They end up calling the police, said she was acting a little strange. The police show up. They end up impounding her car, arresting her, so she has no phone, no way of contacting her family, no anything. But they released her at 1 a.m. in the morning with no phone, no way of getting home, nothing. And Mitrice Richardson's father, this is why we were talking about election, we're talking about Kamala. I was going to want to stay on point, but in relationship to her, remember, she actually had the ability to bring charges, or bring an investigation on what happened in Malibu. And Mitrice Richardson's father kept calling her and calling Kamala. Once Kamala got her Senate position, then she chucked it to the next person. And what they did was send the family a letter saying that they didn't find any foul play. They never did any investigation, is what her father said. Matter of fact, originally they said there was no footage of her Mitrice leaving the prison, remember? And then her father had to hire a private investigator to get for them to subpoena the video of showing, I think it was a sheriff walking behind her right afterwards. And if you look at the information that's been written on the story, the captain ended up going to Baca's office. He ended up working. They ended up moving him over there. The guy that was walking behind her, he was transferred, and so there's a lot going on there for you to bring up an investigation. So what I'm saying is that when you think about some of our elders, think about Julia Hare, who said that we need to make sure a person is black all the way down to the bone before they represent us, right? And then we got to make sure. And then one of my elders, he said we need to start getting happy about having black faces in high places, and that's exactly what we're doing here with Kamala.
And she brags about doing marijuana and talk about why she was listening to Tupac and Salt and Pepper. Pepper.
well, that's the situation. I mean, it does seem like in her situation, and I'm just telling her real. I mean, it just seems like she's fake. I'm just keeping it real. She seems like she's very fake. I remember when she was running. I remember she had a Black Panther, I think, a hat on, and then she had a Howard University shirt on, and it's almost like you want to just
Right.
overdo it. And then I think recently she was wearing some Chuck Taylors. So it's like, so anyway, it's almost like we've been had, and so I have to make, and I'm saying we have to make a decision on, and my thing was which out of the two has affected us when in reference to policy. Right. And that's what I feel that the word it's not, and I'm tired of this worse of two evils thing.
Yeah.
I agree with Dr. Umar, who says we need a black union where we actually don't need to even be Democrat or Republican, but we actually have black people put our vote in a union, and we approach whoever the candidate is and say, these are our demands. These are things that we want. If we get these things, you'll get our vote. But as Dr. Milligan says, and many others have said, what black folks do is we end up voting for people first, and we vote on superficial stuff, like can they play the saxophone, or can they sing an Al Green song? Or can they make a 3-point shot? They'll do trivial stuff to get our vote. But other people, they actually meet with them and ask them for substantial things in order to get their vote.
Most played song on your Spotify list?
You could have asked, what's your great regret? My great regret on my Spotify list is I failed to put on one of my most favorite performers ever, Bootsy.
Bootsy Collins.
Of course.
From P-Funk.
Yes.
Okay. Because
I love Bootsy. I'm funkadelic. Are you kidding me? I'm totally part of that whole listening generation of music.
World, been asleep for the last 7-8 hours, spending it here, just going through it, man. You people just really voted the lady that sentenced me to 27 years when I was 14 years old. I don't respect that, man. On the real, that shit been bothering me. It's been fucking with me. So on the real, you people it's foolish, man. You people don't know what y'all doing out there. Y'all steady going about what all these celebrities is doing and what some social media is doing and all that. And Donald Trump was the best thing for us right now. Right now, that Harris lady, man, y'all not gonna never see us, man. Y'all gonna never see your daddies, your grandpas, your cousins, and all that y'all ain't seen in the last 20, 30 years. Just look at me. I've been in jail since I was 14 for a robbery, dog. On the real, I'm hurt. I'm torn. I don't know what to do. So great. I've been right here just out sleep. Like, damn, man. Like, this shit is foolish, dog. Like, my people's really convicting me again, all over again. Like, y'all don't know how much I'm hurt right now, man. I'm so fucked up in the head. Like, damn, man, I've been fighting for my freedom for so long, man. Man, I'm in jail for a robbery, y'all. I ain't in jail for no murder or no attempted murders. That's what everybody think. I'm not in jail for that. I'm in jail for a bullshit robbery, dog. A robbery that gave me 27 years, man. Man, I'm fighting for my life right now, man, and they gonna make it harder for me. But y'all did it. And I just want y'all to know, man, you motherfuckers, man, y'all need to start reading, man. Start doing y'all research, man, before y'all just get to just doing shit, man, because y'all hurting real niggas like me.